Joining me here is a basketball Hall of Famer, one of the greatest Michigan Wolverines of all time. And he was in the locker room, the victorious locker room, after Michigan made its 5th consecutive Sweet 16. On behalf of his good Fab Five friend and head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, Juwan Howard, the great Chris Webber is here on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line. How are you doing, C-Webb?
Hey, what's up, Rich? And I'm so glad you admitted, how wrong you were with that omission segment.
Yes, sir.
A good man,
Thank you.
Always makes sure he goes back and apologizes, and so make sure you let people know what's going on right now.
Yeah, I did. I left out the fact yesterday when I was crowing about the Michigan Wolverine athletic situation, and by situation I mean kicking ass and name taking. That I forgot to mention that the Michigan hockey team is number 1 ranked currently in the hockey tournament. So, do you ever spend any time in the great Yost Ice Arena, Chris? You ever do that back in the day?
Oh yeah. I went to games there, and I used to go to Red Wings games, and I used to love it. It was like football, football on ice. So, I was definitely a big fan. All Michigan athletics, but I definitely got to a couple games up there at Yost.
Do you bang on the glass? Are you a glass banger when you go to a hockey game, Chris?
I got to bang on the glass with my friend Adrian Tanon when he took me to a hockey game in high school, and that was the best moment. But at Yost, no, I probably was up at the top
best.
acting stupid with the rest of the
What was it like to be just hugging it out with Juwan after that? I saw you went right up to him, and you guys were hopping up and down and hugging each other. Walk me through that moment from the other day, Chris.
It was awesome. So first, shout out to the Michigan fans there and the family there. And I was sitting there with people. It was so funny that I'd known over 30 years that were personal friends of Juwan's. And so that was awesome. And then, Ray Jackson really is the impetus of coming back to all the games and hanging out. He's been, just getting me out all the time, and so he's been on me. And so we were going to go back to a game before, and we didn't get a chance to. And so, that moment hugging Juwan, Ray kind of moves out the way because he wants us to have our home moment. And then he brings us in, and, Juwan and I communicate all the time. We talk, we see each other. I love his family. His wife is wonderful. However, I haven't been there to support him. And so I was so nervous that, I just went over to hug him, and then, let's go, And then he starts jumping and hugging, and my knees hurting, and so I'm trying to jump it myself. But it was just a special moment, man. It was just true joy. That's all I can say. It was just true joy, seeing the underdogs get the win and being there to support.
And then you went in the locker room. I saw that video. That was fun. That was great.
Yeah, man.
What, I'm serious. What is it like for you to be back in a Michigan basketball locker room like that, Chris?
Yeah, it's something that, man, it was surreal, but at the same time, it was familiar. You know what I mean? I'm fans. I've known Juwan since he's been in diapers. The other players there, I've known some, seen them grow up. And so to me, Howard Isley, the great offensive coordinator there, I played against him in high school and in NBA. And so him being from Detroit. So to me, I grew up a Michigan and Michigan State fan. Obviously, Michigan is the better school and situation, obviously. But, just growing up in the state of Michigan, it's like watching '89 when they were winning and, winning a championship and watching Ramil hit the free throws. You know what I mean? So it was just so familiar to feel good. Like I can't express. I'm not trying to downplay it in any way. It felt so good, but part of it feeling good was the familiarity of it. You know what I mean? It wasn't an outsider or, anything else. It was, it was just awesome to be there. So, and it was the kids' time to shine. They won. It happened the right way. No one stole their shine. And so it was just the perfect situation. And even seeing, Chandler in the back, Kennedy, I'm such a fan of his, and even just as a competitor, when I saw him in the back and we're hugging, all I was telling him is that I'm proud of him and that I'm glad he's crying because it means that he wanted to win. Like, you deserve to cry. Everyone doesn't deserve to cry. They can laugh. They can say this. That's because they're quitters and they're scared of failure. So who cares about haters who are scared of failure? The man in the arena quote kind of and telling him to embrace it, because only guys that really want it are the ones that do it. And I'm proud of you, because I know when you go to the NBA, these emotions will still be in you, whether it's this year, the next year. And so just proud of all the kids' effort. The big fella from, Michigan, our guards, our guard play, guys that were on the bench that waited to come in the right time. And, being able to really let them know, like, who cares about what's going on social media this era? You guys are great because you came together as a team. So it was just really good being able to reinforce, those positive messages, because as an athlete, that's all it's about.
Chris Webber here on the Rich Eisen Show, and we're seeing the video of Juwan jumping up and down with the players and water being thrown in the air, and it's just a joyous locker room. And, I got to just bring it up, too, the shot of that went viral, as well it should, of Juwan, of Coach Howard, hugging a member of Tennessee's team that was crying on the line, on the handshake line, and hugging this kid, in contrast to what happened on the handshake line at Wisconsin, is stark, to say the least. It is remarkable. And now Coach Howard is going to the Sweet 16. This young man is not going there. I'm wondering what your thought was when Juwan was going through his suspension and you saw what had happened on the line in Wisconsin, and the conversation that was a national conversation about Juwan Howard. Chris Webber.
Yeah, and I'll get to that. And that young man, his name is Kennedy Chandler, and Juwan recruited him and wanted him bad at the University of Michigan. And he has a wonderful mother and father, and we were talking to him in the back. And so that's who Juwan is. Who else can hug you except a guy that's had, I think, one thing about empathy, empathy has definitely an understanding for it and a sensitivity, but true empathy holds you accountable because you've been there before. And you can say, hey, I know you've been there, but you still can't do that. And so when I watched the game, I couldn't believe it. What transpired in that game in the line. I communicated with Juwan weeks before, weeks after, the day of, all that good stuff. From the second that it was, and the second being with me maybe an hour after the game, he communicated, how sorry he was. And if anyone knows Juwan, he's a man of conviction, but just as happy as he was, joining the team, emotionally happy. He was just as distraught, on the other end, and more so for the representation of, his family. He knew he could get a coaching job. I think it was reported that 9 NBA teams called him right away that next day, and he didn't care about any of that. He cared about the young men in the locker room. So that's who he is. And so while that, surprised me, and there's no excuse for it, and it didn't surprise me, how caring he was, and the fact that, you really got to think about it. For the young man to go over there and to speak to Juwan, and speak to myself after means something from Juwan's perspective, because, Juwan's going to console the kid, right? But how many times has a kid from another team, no disrespect to his coach, but heads the other way to the other coach that just beat him and just says, and just falls in your arms. So it says a lot about who he is, and a long time before this incident ever happened. And again, he's taken, and he better take, and he has taken, and he needs to move forward, but he's taken full responsibility for it. And, thank God he gets an opportunity through these moments that aren't planned to show who he really is.
Well, the X's and O's, too. What makes Juwan Howard a good coach, Chris?
Oh man. I think IQ. I think having been in the game so long, played so long, the great mentoring of coaches that he has. Everybody talks about the Popovich tree, which you should, but he's under the Riley tree. And so I think one of the things is that he's made adjustments. He's been in the game in the transition. I think like yourself or any of these other, great guys in the media, I think not that the younger generation doesn't have an advantage by being familiar, but I think there's an advantage to context and being an advantage to transition. So You know, I'm not trying to date you, but I'm sure you were on TV with VCRs.
Yes, they might have set the VCR for a Sports Center back in the day,
you know
Chris. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I used to be in the studio with DATs and things like that. But I think that when you see new technology, new situation, that it just makes you, you know, it just gives you a better context. And I think that his empathy, his context, he's the age of their parents. He has a kid in school. You know, he knows what you're going through, and I think that sensitivity really holds him accountable. Again, you know, he's you know, since I met him, you know, all the guys are some of the best men that I know. So I'm definitely not surprised with who he is as a family man first, and then as a coach.
Chris Webber, Basketball Hall of Famer, here on the Rich Eisen Show for a few more minutes. Okay, let me just talk a little NBA with you, if you don't mind. Last night, LeBron dropped a triple-double on Cleveland, and it was quite a moment for him as well. You know, when he soaked in the thunderous applause when they put up on the scoreboard that he passed Karl Malone for second most points in the history of the NBA. He said he's having the time of his life. Do you believe him when you hear that for a team that's mired in ninth right now in the West, Chris?
You know what? Yes, and I think that he has to have the time of his life because he knows that time is fleeting. So I think the most underrated story in sports is that he passed Karl Malone. Number two, I mean, I can't imagine in baseball if someone was, you know, past number two and was on, you know, a couple years away or whatever. So that to be having triple doubles at this age, to go back to his hometown and do it, I mean, and yes, in a true argument, I would say, well, you know, it hasn't been broken because other guys couldn't come until they were 22 and they played more games. We can say all of that, but what he has just done is the most incredible thing that we've ever seen. And so he's made up clubs as far as the 40-10-10 club or whatever clubs that he's had. So hopefully he is enjoying it because I tell you what, he hates losing. So it's either going crazy, hating losing, or trying to find that balance, you know, in the rainbow. So he needs to embrace being able to chase some personal goals. But I know it's killing him that, you know, they better play well because they may not even make the play in. So hopefully he is enjoying it while working his ass off to try to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, there's 10 games to go, and the aforementioned Greg Popovich is the team that can, you know, maybe get in as a 10th seed. They're 2 behind the Pelicans and 3 behind the Lakers, who are currently 9th. I guess it's an open-ended question. Do you think the Lakers have won 2 of 3? They're talking about maybe going on a special run. Who the heck knows? But it doesn't look good at all, right? I mean, like, what do you think about the Lakers' chances, Chris?
Yeah, I think there's teams we can root for as fans, but I think the great thing about all of the leagues are that it's so competitive. So, you know, I don't know. I think it's going to be tough. You know, like LeBron had to have a triple-double. They've been winning over all this incredible things that they've had to do to maintain it, and it just seems as if it would be hard to maintain this even though they're trying to move up. So, you know, I would say just as the guy that loves basketball, it doesn't look great for them. But with LeBron and what he's been doing, they always have a chance. But even in the play-on series, and I know people are like anything can happen that way, it's just really hard to fight without this consistency, whether you're them or a great team like Golden State. I just think there's just, you know, so much accountability with officiating now. I think there's so much parity. I think the fans are so smart that you're not going to slip anything over them. And so being that all those eyes are in, anyone has a chance. And, you know, I think that's all they're saying is just let us get to the 8th seed and we can do anything. And hopefully they do because it'll make a great playoff series.
Who's your team in the East? What do you think, Chris?
I'm sorry?
Who's the team in the East, if you had to choose one? What do you think?
I think you still got to my favorite team, the team that's most fun to watch, it has to be, you know, to me it has to be Brooklyn. You know, I really like what with Harden
right.
and the Sixers have there, but I just don't think they have enough scoring. You know, the reason why I really like Brooklyn is because everyone undervalues the Seth Curry trade or the fact that this team got shooters. His team has shooters now. So at the end of the day, remember what we said a few years ago about Philly? They don't have shooters. Well, they still don't have shooters, and they still don't have a bench. And, yes, Embiid is playing great ball and Harden playing great ball, but the reason why it's hard for them to close is because they don't have those closers at the end. And if DeAndre Drummond, if he just plays his role, he doesn't try to post up or go one-on-one, none of that. Just rebound, tip the ball in, and play defense, then I think, Brooklyn has a chance. But Anthony Cooper and those guys have something to say. But I think Brooklyn definitely is going to be the most fun to watch.
All right, Chris, before I let you go, you always like jumping in at the end of our conversations to talk about this subject. So I'll just set you up on who the Super Bowl winning quarterback was this past year, Chris.
So first of all, I'd like to shout out a friend, if I could, and
Please.
some partners at Coin Lectables and Toby O'Connor. We have some special things this week.
Oh.
And I was telling my friends, we got some special things to announce. Hopefully, you'll let me back on. And we're doing some wonderful things in the NFT, the metaverse, and signing and experiences with all type of athletes. But as I was telling them the other day, football, I can't say it's my favorite sport, because that would be kind of blasphemous, but it is tied for my favorite sport. And I remember coming on a friend of mine's show last year and telling them that, I bet that my quarterback, in my T.O. voice, I think I even texted him a couple times, probably getting on his nerves during the year, saying, remember what I told you, and Matthew Stafford. All the people that called and hated on my Twitter account and Instagram because I said Matthew Stafford was going to win and Aaron Donald was the best and Cooper Kupp. And everybody, I just want to say, I told you so.
I love that wind up. I love it. I love it because I'm looking right now at my phone. I believe this was after the NFC Championship game.
Okay.
A certain friend, who may have been a member of the Fab Five, texted me, "That's my," with all caps, MY, quarterback. And there's 9 exclamation points at the end of it. And underneath it says "sent with Siri." So I don't know, how do you get 9 exclamation points when you send something with Siri, Chris Webber? How do you do that?
Me and Siri have a special relationship. And I was screaming in the phone, so Siri knew what time it was. I told her early too that when the trade happened, don't worry, Siri. We're allowing him to go there so he can win a championship, So,
but
I knew it was up.
I didn't get one after the Super Bowl. That's kind of weird, I'll be honest with you, Chris. I was expecting it. I got it a handful of times, and then after the ultimate, I didn't get one. But I was hoping you were okay. But that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I probably, Did you see Aaron Donald on the bus when he was, when he took off his shirt and all that stuff? That's what I was doing with my gut here at home. So that's all. I was just celebrating, man. I was just celebrating.
I know, and it looks like the Rams might be set up to try and do it again. You know what I'm saying? But it's entirely possible.
They do. You got to let me back on and make another prediction. I think I earned that with, a football savant like yourself. If I get lucky one year, at least got to let me come back on and see if I can get lucky. But I got to, I got to look through, some scouting reports and consult with a couple GMs, and then I'll get back to you and let you know what my picks are for this upcoming season.
Okay, very good.
Rich, 9 exclamation points, Stafford. Where's the number 9?
I think that's 9 exclamation points.
So that makes sense.
One for every. Okay, there you go.
I'm telling you, she's a Stafford fan as well.
Okay. Serious. Well, Chris, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I'll just be honest with you, seeing you next to Ray Jackson and hugging out with Juwan Howard at a Michigan NCAA tournament win, and then you in the locker room, and seeing you with the Block M on your chest, wearing the gear, is pretty cool, man. Speaking on behalf of all Wolverines, glad to see it.
And on behalf of myself, I just thank all the Wolverines that were patient. And the one thing that, again, Juwan and I have never had any turmoil. We've always been there. But hopefully this is the start for, the enjoyment of all 5 of us to be back, which I think it will. And it was really cool. Last thing before I get off, I came home and my son had on my old college varsity jacket. My wife pulled it out you know what? I'm going to post that right now since I came on your show. But my wife posted, my wife had a picture of him, and I came home and I saw him there. It was pretty cool. So many more moments to share, but it was special, my friend. And thank you over the years for, always pushing me forward for that. So
of course. Really cool. Absolutely. All 5 of you, huh? Because, hey, look, man, if Ray Allen and KG are hugging it out, let's go, Chris. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Yeah, man. That's all,
If there's water under that bridge, there's no other bridge that water can't be under. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, man. All love.
Okay.
All love.
Take care of yourself, Chris Webber. We'll look for that picture. Be well. Thanks again. Always a pleasure.
Doubt,
Thanks again. Right back at you. Chris Webber, everybody. Right here on the Rich Eisen Show. All 5. You heard that, right?
Yeah. It has to happen for the
ground
culture.
will shake when that happens in the Michigan Wolverine. And I think just NCAA basketball world writ large. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.